Cannabis Life Radio is paid programming. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of JVC Broadcasting, its management, or staff. This is the most unique radio show in America. This is Cannabis Life Radio.
Welcome. Cannabis Life Radio is on the air. See,
Good morning.
Good morning. Good
Something
morning.
happened now. I can barely hear my headphones.
So it sounds personal, my friend.
Yeah,
Sounds
I
personal.
always got problems. Welcome to Cannabis Life Radio. This is Leon Hamilton. Something just happened. With Arby Barroso, Cheryl Murray Powell.
Whoop.
And who are you?
Michelle Weiner.
Michelle Weiner.
Doctor
Michelle
Weiner.
Weiner. Excuse me.
Our resident expert physician.
Nice.
Yes,
We're going to be talking cannabis all show long. Also, our phone number, 1-877-960-9960. That number again, 1-877-960-9960. We had tons of stuff to talk about.
There is a lot.
Tons.
There's a lot.
And we have a
There's lot.
birthday in the house.
We do have a birthday in the house.
Somebody has a birthday?
You.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I have a birthday today. Happy birthday to me.
Happy
birthday to you.
Leon.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Award for you. We've got tons of guests. We've got tons of topics to go over. We've got tons of news to talk about the cannabis industry, how Amendment 2 is being implemented here in Florida. Tons of questions. We can you can email at us at sealiferadio.com. Is that what it is, guys?
Yep, you can listen on sealiferadio.com.
Sea Life Radio.
Absolutely,
You can
absolutely.
listen on the
and then
Facebook
on
page.
Facebook live stream, it'd be
Facebook
Sea
Live.
Life Radio.
Sea Life Radio on Facebook, and then you can watch it on live. You're going to watch it on YouTube, I think, right? Yeah? No? Eventually,
watch
we're
it
gonna
on
be-
Facebook for sure.
Crickets.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention. Everybody else is doing other things, and nobody's paying attention that there's an actual radio show going on.
But
here.
absolutely, I mean, if you tune into Facebook at Sea Life Radio,
Right.
we'll be commenting back. You could ask any questions. We'll just answer those
Right.
on the radio. So
Thousands
feel
of
free,
people watch that.
feel free to comment or to ask us any questions, and we'll get to it.
Yeah, and you can go to sealiferadio.com and check out the awesome pictures of all the hosts, and check out everybody that's a part of the show except for one person. I'm still not on the website, by the way. Just check
There's
today.
a
I'm
weekly
away.
protest
I think we're going to
happening.
get Arrow on first before we get you on there.
Yeah, the producer's going to be on the website before I am. Story of my life. What can I say? We got what I wanted to tell you guys something. Something huge happened last week.
What
Dude,
happened?
what happened?
Bill Monroe is now a star because of this radio program.
Wow.
Yeah, the people the people in the news industry around here. You guys live down south, so you
I live up here.
You live up here?
Yeah. We're neighbors. Exactly.
Meow.
We should be getting together much more, Leon.
Well, anyway, WPTV is like a huge station here, and they picked up on Bill Monroe's story last week that was broken here on Cannabis Life Radio about certain donations going into certain people's pockets and how it's affecting the implementation of Amendment 2, and it was pretty crazy because they did a report. It was like a huge report. It's been shared all over Facebook.
Right.
Bill Monroe is now a star, and he's crediting Cannabis Life Radio for bringing it to him.
That's right. We
That's
break
awesome.
the news here.
Yes.
Anything cannabis related, we're the ones to crack it.
Yes, we're going to be all over this stuff all year long. Right here on
Absolutely.
Cannabis Life Radio.
At least until they make sure that the people and the votes that came in, that the people are heard.
Right, or I'm fired.
Or you're fired.
Whichever one comes first.
Whichever one comes first is fine.
I'll chain myself to the station before that happens.
You're so sweet. You're so sweet. And we got a lot of big news nationally and worldwide about cannabis legalization and things that are going on. But we have a lot of things to get to, and we've got Bill Monroe, In the Know with Bill Monroe, coming up at the bottom of the hour. We have numerous guests. Who we got lined up?
Yeah, we have, Dr. Michelle Weiner is going to be with us for the entire show.
Right.
We have Elaine Geller in our second hour.
Yeah, and
we have
Elaine Geller is...
she's with Americanics, and she's been a longtime advocate. She shares her personal story, and I'm not going to ruin it for everyone.
Okay.
She shares her personal story with regards to cannabis use and the need for legalization.
Right.
We have Saibo Shen out of California. We're going to call him up, and he's very involved with vape technology. So Silicon Valley meets the cannabis industry.
Cool.
He also has he's also a member of Canadets as well.
Nice.
So we have Rachel Nickel with Regulate Florida.
Regulate Florida.
We're going to be calling her up. I know they're gathering volunteers for a lot of their initiatives, and Regulate Florida is all about regulate marijuana like alcohol. So it's like the next step.
Right.
There's a proposed constitutional amendment. So we're trying to get the last one right, but they're already out there, feet on the street, trying to get the next one.
And that brings us to the town hall meeting that actually we went to in Miramar. We want to thank the mayor for having that, and for Sherman Jones to inviting us, and actually Cheryl was on the panel, and there was a couple other people on the panel. I was a little bit aggravated and upset over what was going on.
Why, what happened?
Because they had quite a few people on the panel, and everybody means well, but when you have one of the nurseries, and I won't name them, it just basically saying that they're doing it for the people and it's everything for the people, but yet they only have 7 nurseries and they can't get the right medications out to everybody. You know, it gets a little upsetting when they're just trying to preach that they're trying to do right, and what they're really just trying to do is just hold on.
They're trying to do right, but they're trying to do right by them.
By them,
right.
You know, it's a little upsetting that I actually had to walk out for a bit because I just couldn't take it. Yeah. You know, it's just a bunch of BS.
Calm down, Arby.
It's hard. It's hard to, man. It's really hard.
The last person I want mad in this room is that guy right there. Arby, don't get mad.
He had to take a breather.
I had the woosah.
Yeah. Mayor Messum's wife was very encouraging because she was very firm that the city of Miramar is going to be consistent with their voters, and they will work with law enforcement. Those were her words. Work with law enforcement to make sure they understand how to help get cannabis to patients who need it.
And she was amazing. And then there was an officer that was on there,
Bill Schwartz,
and they're still attaching opioid addiction to cannabis.
Oh my goodness.
You know, and that's
so old.
It's old. It's
so stupid.
Uneducated.
Stupid.
In other words, what we need to do also is reach out to a lot of these police stations and these jurisdictions and have sessions where we go in and we speak to them. Yeah. We would bring in people that had the opiate addiction problem, and we would bring in people that are using cannabis as an alternative.
Yeah.
Whether they've
getting
received
people off of drugs.
Exactly. So I think it's more of an educational thing than anything right now. But we need to continue to educate them, because taking somebody to jail for having a possession charge, which just happened the other day. I was talking to somebody, and somebody had gone to jail for a possession in Weston. So now this person is now going to have to go notice to appear. They're a professional. They're actually a teacher. So, for them to go through that and have that issue and be pretty much embarrassed. Yeah. And the state is a medical state at this point. Right. To be taken to jail or a notice to appear in court is pretty embarrassing for literally just one cannabis cigarette.
We've already told the state what we want, and they're still going exactly in the opposite direction. So we're going to cover a lot of that stuff going on today. But we got a lot of things to talk about, including I want to do the phone number one more time because we broke the phone system last week.
We did break the phone system.
1-877-960-9960 to reach us here at Cannabis Life Radio. Brought to you by Green Roads World.
Let me tell you about myself. My sound a champion, sir. True, we may be some wider. Tell them, say, man, sound. Yes, it had the open sound. Oh, man, sound. Killing every joke and sound. Oh my son, play some dogs and leave the crown. Hey, we run the town. My son, hey, kill a crime in our first round. Oh yeah, them never know we got the dogs in the box. Hey, them take we simple through, we cool and relax. Hey, I some go lip and this me so me go feed that. And clip up every tongue when me see flip and go back chat. Hey, and if them ever play a slice in the cash, pan the ground them a feed drop. Go back clap like a passion. Hey, lose them life when we rock and pop off. Them ya new special, yeah, just pick a spot. Me tell them say man, Sam. Yes, it had the road way, Sam. Tell them say man, Sam. Yes, it had the A1 Sam. Oh man, Sam. Play some totally free crown. Yeah, we run the town. My Sam, hey, kill it from in a first round. Because they've entered the clash with lame speaker. Is a coffin and a Rita go reach ya. Sound me full of bass and like a tweeter. Run out them and them tin pan from here. Hey, me tell them adios amiga. Me sound start to play and them get murder. Some boy bound fi get slaughter. Tell them dig the one and hold and mix the matter. Cause my sound, yes it had the roughest sound. Oh man, sound, killing every jump and sound. Tell them say man, sound, play some dope to leave the crown. Yeah, we run the town. My sound, yeah, kill it from the first round. Oh, yeah. My sound are the champion sound. Killing every trumpet sound. Oh yes. My sound are the roughest, my sound are the baddest sound. Oh yeah, tell them say my sound. Yes, it are the roughest sound. Oh man, sound. Killing everything concerned. Tell them say my sound. Yes, I we run the town. Yes, I we run the town. Yes, I we run the town. Cause my sound. Yes, it are the roughest sound. Oh man, sound. Killing every jump and sound. Tell them say my sound. Play some dope to leave the crowd, yeah, we run the town. My sound, yeah, kill it from in our first round. Yeah, my sound are the champion sound. Killing every jump and sound. Oh yes, my sound are the roughest, my sound are the baddest sound. Tell them say man, sound. Yes, it had the roughest sound. Oh man, sound. Killing everything.
This is the most unique radio show in America. This is Cannabis Life Radio.
Am I the mic on? Am I on?
Mic
Am I
check,
on the radio?
mic
check.
1, 2.
Thank you. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous, doctor.
We ended out talking about law enforcement. I just want to, shout out Sheriff Israel because he really does provide a person at any type of town hall that you have. So Bill Schwartz, when he took the stage, said, "You know what? I'm on the stage with these experts. I probably know the least amount of information on cannabis. So I want to applaud him for saying that. But to Arby's point, we are open to having conversations.
Absolutely,
so we're going to reach out to Sheriff
And I'm happy
Israel.
that he was. He was very receptive.
Yeah.
And again, he was receptive, but education's key.
Yeah.
And that's what we put on our posters.
Right, that's the way to handle this stuff.
And as Dr. Wiener and we were talking during the break, the opioid epidemic that's going on, it's not on the news as much as it is, but there's just the same amount or maybe even more people dying of it, and heroin, which is increased by 51% nationwide. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so there's about 2 million people who are abusing opioids on a daily basis, and 25 million Americans are dealing with chronic pain.
Yeah.
So the opioid epidemic has become a huge issue. As a pain doctor, my main goal is to improve quality of life, and basically a lot of these opioids cause a lot of side effects that really cause deterioration of the people's lives, families. So my goal is really to treat their pain with something that is more holistic and something that will improve their overall function and increase their overall mood, so that they're not depressed, they're not they have some motivation.
Right.
So the opioid epidemic is a huge drive for pain doctors, I think, to use cannabis. I've seen a lot of my patients decrease their opioids, and there's been a lot of studies. University of Michigan did a study. There was 64% decrease in opioid use with the patients who are on cannabis.
Right.
Besides that, there's been a lot of studies. There's one recently in Israel, actually, in 2016. Hebrew University, they took 180 patients, and these people had all failed conventional therapies. They put them on 20 grams monthly of inhaled cannabis.
Right.
And there was a 66% 66% of the patients had improved quality of life and decreased pain, and there was a 44% decrease in opioid overuse. So
that's the key.
That's incredible.
Yep.
See that's and how does your field, your profession feel about? Because we understand, we've been out there talking to doctors as much as we can, and there's a lot of resistance by some of the doctors. Would that be more because of the legal side of it, or is it because they don't believe in cannabis being an alternative?
Yeah, so I think a lot of doctors are a little bit hesitant because they don't know the law. They don't really know. A lot of doctors don't even know there are dispensaries and there's other options, and there's even CBD and THC. That they don't really. They're not aware. We're not taught this in medical school. That's a big concern. I think that once physicians are educated, they do know the law, they'll be a little bit more willing to recommend cannabis. But right now, it's still tough. They have to know, they have to take the course, they have to get educated. I think personally, since you cannot overdose from cannabis, that's something I feel very safe with.
Right.
I know, like always, I tell my patients to start low and go slow and increase, and not to decrease opioids immediately. Wait till they're feeling a little better, and then we kind of tailor their plan. But I think a lot of physicians are just not educated because they don't learn it in med school, and they have to go out on their own and read these studies and become familiar with them so that they are able to feel comfortable telling a patient, how to use cannabis.
Did they speak at all when you were going to school about the receptors, the CB1 and CB2 receptors?
No, despite the fact that they were discovered in the early 90s. They don't teach it in medical school. They're actually just starting now. I think University of Miami is starting, and there's a few other universities that are starting to teach it because it's really the wave of the future. This is going to be the medication that a lot of patients are going to need. There was an article in the New York Times. It said retirement comes with a dose of cannabis, and I know that the elderly population is a huge population that can benefit from marijuana.
Yep.
So a lot of times it's difficult to get it into the hospital, the skilled nursing facilities when these are Medicare, Medicaid run,
right.
And it's federally illegal. So that's the big challenge there. But there's so many patients that can benefit. It's just about educating physicians and educating the families of the patients as well, so they're supportive.
And I'm a true believer in that, and I've been reading a lot of articles and scientific research showing that since it's been taken out of the feed, in other words, we are what we eat, and since it's been taken out of the feed, there's been an increase in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, and those other debilitating diseases. And what they're starting to say is that it comes from the fact that these animals are not, as hemp was used as hay back in those days, it's been taken out of the food chain, so we can't absorb those nutrients that come from the hemp plant. Not even the marijuana plant, the hemp plant.
Right.
Do you see something with that?
Yeah, well, basically, we have, endogenous cannabinoids. We have internal cannabinoids that giving a little CBD, even if it's hemp, will actually increase the endogenous cannabinoids. So it's not mimicking it like THC, but CBD alone can actually increase anandamide, one of our endogenous cannabinoids. And that plays a role with insomnia, anxiety. There's been studies for Parkinson's just looking at CBD showing that it increases motor coordination and decreases tremors. So it's not all about THC or cannabis, but sometimes CBD alone can be very beneficial.
That's amazing.
I've seen somebody with my own two eyes with Parkinson's so bad that the gentleman couldn't even hold on to his cane and took one capsule of CBD and completely stopped his tremors with one capsule in 5 minutes.
Right.
So I know that it does work.
Listen, I'm an advocate
from
for
your
it.
company.
All right.
We're big advocates of that. We Dr. Wiener and myself were talking about a little earlier. We would love to be able to have 1%, 2% THC, 3% THC in our products, but we don't and we can't because it's federally legal for us to do so, even though we are part of the Farm Bill in Colorado. But again, I think that the CBD on its own, first, I think, as an opinion, obviously, and not as a doctor, I think gives us a better, life. And what we call is restoring life. People that have hard time sleeping, that don't
homeostasis,
they don't want the Valiums, they don't want the Xanax, which is the first prescriptions that they kind of write out nowadays, and eliminating that from a daily dose or being used to or being a slave to those type of medications, because a lot of people, including myself, I was a slave to that medication.
You start looking at the clock
I would
try to check your next dose when you're going to be able to have enough pain medication to make it through the day. Oh, if I take one at 3, I'm not going to have one at 9.
It's not even that. I leave it at home. If I would leave my medication at home, I would drive back home to get my medication.
You know, that's more so than the addiction is the possibility of withdrawal, which also is life-threatening. And something like cannabis, that's not going to have a life-threatening side effect at all. And actually, it can be used to help with some opioid withdrawal symptoms.
So since we're talking about CBD,
we got
a phone call from Texas, I think. Yep. Hello. Welcome to Cannabis Life Radio. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
What's up?
How are you?
We're great.
We're great.
Could you tell me, would indica, sativa, hybrid, what strain would be the best for multiple sclerosis and fibromyalgia?
I'll let the doctor
That's a good question.
answer that.
So fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis. So basically, there's been some research that fibromyalgia may just be an endocannabinoid deficiency. So basically, your body, kind of like a vitamin deficiency, you may not have your endogenous cannabinoids working right, and that's why it's throwing off the homeostasis, like we were talking about. MS, it depends your symptoms, but there's probably a lot of muscle spasms associated with your disease process, correct?
Yes. Tomorrow will be 35 weeks that I replaced 4 medications, hydrocodone, Oxycontin, morphine, and fentanyl with cannabis.
That's
awesome.
Congratulations.
And I live in an illegal state, and I managed to take care of myself better with cannabis than any prescription farm.
Well, more power to you, girl.
And again, that's what we're here on the radio, is trying to educate and obviously be careful because you are in Texas, and how you provide that to yourself. But, you know, a lot of people in this country are self-medicating because they don't want to be part of this pill epidemic in every state of the pill epidemic. So, you know, whether it's opioids or other prescription drugs that give you really bad side effects, including last week where we're going to have a conversation about the drug Oxeller, which is for seizures. Right. You know, one of the things is suicidal tendencies or suicidal, dizziness, addiction to it. And 23% of the people that actually got into that study couldn't finish it.
Yeah. So just answering the question.
Yeah, we want to be clear that we're not encouraging any illicit use in illegal states. We don't want to encourage that. We just want to educate you on what your options are, and those are things that you can talk to your specific physician about, especially as the legalization expands.
Let me just answer her question though. So sativa versus indica. Definitely, you want your indica for more at night. It's more sedating. It's a better muscle relaxant. And it gives you more of that body dominant type of feeling. Sativa or hybrid would be more during the day in a legal state. This is what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Love that answer.
Indica, just think indica, couch. What? That's why. Why are you laughing at me?
So
That's
I
totally
hope that was a good answer to your question. Again, we always encourage that. We strongly recommend a specific doctor-patient relationship with an examination, and you'll just have to do that based on what's legal in your particular state.
All right, girl.
You know, here in Texas, I went to the doctor and I told them that I wanted off of everything.
Right.
And, I had to literally go to the doctor 2 visits and beg to get off of the narcotics. And I told them that once I told them that I was using cannabis, they listed me as, they put cannabis disorder on me.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
And, after I titrated him off the dose, lowered the dose off of the narcotics, I went for the follow-up visit, and he dropped me from his practice.
Right, which you really got to be careful with decreasing your opioids on your own. You should really be consulting a physician and doing it as slow as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I got off of everything over about 8 weeks. It took about 8 weeks to get completely off of everything.
That's pretty short.
That's great.
It took me a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But it'll be 35 weeks tomorrow.
Well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Glad you're
Big
feeling
time.
better.
Congratulations.
We celebrate your new life, we're glad you called in.
And thank you for calling, okay?
Thank you. You have a good day.
All right, thank you. We got to get going here. We got another break coming up. You are listening to Cannabis Life Radio here on... What was I going to say?
900 AM, CLifeRadio.com.
Okay, let me try it one more time.
Go ahead.
Take 2.
Roll them.
Cannabis Life Radio is brought to you by Green Roads World.
not so pushy. If you wanna be coming and making sweet love to me, and if you're the type of girl who'll do anything me please, maybe then I'd realize you ain't got what I need to keep my soul alright. It keeps me up high above. Yes, me got good reason to come question your love. It keeps my soul alright. It keeps me up high above. Want me girl that you come give me some sweet loving in the morning time. She make me feel alright. Then me gotta be waiting till the day turns to night, 'cause in the evening time she make me feel alright. Girl, you got me wishing this would happen every night. Say if you want to get with me, girl, this is what you'll find. But a man who's got the type of moves to make you lose your mind. You tell me that your loving's true on each and every day. You tell me that you've got the type of loving here to stay. Sweet honey.
Funny to me, the way she say she never give her loving for free. She say she got a man, but she looking at me. Yes, she wanna love her with the sensitivity.
But won't you tell me that your love's from the heart? Yes, the type of loving that can tear mine apart. Girl, you got to realize before it ever starts. Yes, I am the man who won't come breaking your heart. Said if you want to get with me, girl, this is what you'll find. But a man who's got the type of moves to make you lose your mind. You tell me that your loving's true on each and every day. You tell me that you've got the type of loving here to stay. Sweet honey, she gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey. She gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey. To get with me, girl, this is what you'll find. But a man who's got the type of moves to make you lose your mind. You tell me that your loving's true on each and every day. You tell me that you've got the type of loving here to stay. Sweet honey, she gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey. She gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey. She gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey. She gonna steal my money, sweet honey. She gonna steal my loving. Yes, you try to tell me that you're sent from above. Girl, you give me reason to come question your love, sweet honey.
Cannabis sativa, the old standby cordage fiber, is staging a strong comeback.
Cannabis Life Radio proudly presents In the Know with Bill Monroe.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, superstar, media superstar, Bill Monroe. Bill, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm expecting my package with my Bill Monroe autograph and photograph soon, the headshot. Because I saw you on the news and all the people interviewing you for all the information that you have busted wide open up in Tallahassee. Why don't you tell us that story?
Well, what I did is I did a lot of research going into the PACs of Representative Senator Bradley and Senator Young, and looking at all the the money drops into their PACs and the timing of those money drops, which happen to kind of coincide with the voting on whether they wanted to restrict down to 7 license holders or not.
Right.
So I'm not accusing anybody of doing anything illegal or anything of that sort. But if you look at the timing, I mean, some people out there are working hard just to make $30,000 a year, and if you see $30,000 being dropped into somebody's back pocket, and you don't expect anything out of that,
that's a little strange.
I mean, come on, we all have to. Yeah, it's highly unusual. And you look at the fact that Bradley got close to $85,000 declared that was dropped into his pack, and then Dana Young got the $15,000, and then Adam Putnam, he received $50,000 from Costa Farms that was dropped into his campaign for running for governor. So it looks unseemly, for the most part.
Again, on purpose.
Wait, you're kidding, right?
No, our money back.
Last week, same thing.
Not the power.
Right in the middle.
The power we didn't lose.
They shut us down.
But who?
The power.
Who shut you down?
Last week we were talking about pharma, and as soon as we asked pharma a question, it was like the whole board.
The whole system
But
blew
who can operate that? I mean, who has...
No, this is the whole station's power.
Yeah, we're still live on Facebook.
Let's talk.
Really?
Let's talk. Let's keep going.
Hello.
Even
We have lost power here at the radio station, but apparently we're still on Facebook Live.
Where's Bill?
We'll call him.
Bill, is Bill still there? Is Bill still on the phone?
We'll put it on speaker. Let's keep
because
going.
we can amplify it because now she's using the extra headset. So then that's where we were getting our main audio source from. So
you can use mine.
You want it?
I said you're good.
You can use my headphones.
I was just passing on. I trust you.
I talked to Bill. We'll put him on mine.
This is like a conspiracy.
Trust me. Last week,
C-O-N-spiracy.
Last week they got it. They knocked down our Facebook, and then they put it back up, and then during a certain conversation, same thing.
As soon as we were talking about it.
We're live over here. We're talking about it.
So we got like everybody's...
Everything is still...
All right, everyone. We're still here.
We're still on the air.
The power has gone down.
I have power on the board and then there.
We're still recording. We're still on the air so people can hear us.
Hey, guys.
There's some lights.
We are still here.
This is probably one of the strangest radio shows I've ever been
Illuminati,
involved with.
forgive me for my comment about the
serious.
Illuminati.
I have been involved with...
I've paid all my taxes. I've paid all my taxes.
So we're going to try to get Bill Monroe back on like someone's cell phone.
Yeah, is Bill Monroe still on the phone? No.
We're going to do the bootleg version.
This is very
but we want to
strange.
make sure that we're bringing it live to you guys.
So if you're just driving down the road...
This is as raw as
you
can
happen to be trying to tune around and trying to figure out what's going on this radio show. Well, there was a giant flash here in the radio station, and then we lost all power. So we were unsure whether we were still on... What are you doing?
Don't worry about what I'm doing.
You're in my personal space, sir.
And it is your birthday.
Yeah, it is my birthday. I was afraid you were going to give me some kind of strange gift. So anyway, there was a huge flash, and then we lost all power. We were thinking that we were dead, and we were still on the air while our conversations were going on about not having any power. What?
Right.
What?
We should have Bill back up in a minute.
Okay, we're going to get Bill Monroe on the phone here in just a second. But we're going to keep talking. What did you want to talk about? There's something that you wanted to say.
No, I'm just looking at you.
Well, we have plenty to talk about. Even still talking about the public hearings, like, again, let's talk about some of the people who were there. So we had Nikki Fried from Green Solutions.
Yep.
So they are, I believe they're the 7th license holder.
Yep. She's the one that made me a little bit upset.
Yeah, there was some information that, didn't quite ring true. One thing in particular, and not to, this isn't a personal attack, but this is just something that needs to be validated and verified, is there was a comment about a vape pen, that there was a delivery to a person of 2 vape pens that cost $77. So we started the conversation talking about how much this is costing. If our intent is to drive the volume from the black market, then...
And to get on that, when she said the vape pen would last 6 months.
Yes.
And
one vape pen.
Wait a second. One cartridge?
Yes. Being in the business, as long as we've been in the business, and coming from the THC side of the world, typically those pens last about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, with me, when I did one, it probably lasted about 6 days.
Well, you're different.
Yeah, I'm a little bit.
6 days
You're
isn't
puff,
too
puff,
far
give.
off from a week.
I thought he said 2 weeks.
He did say 2
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah, he said 2 weeks. What's going on in here? Are they putting gas through the exhaust system in here? What's going on?
So imagine, think about it. Yeah. They're saying that it's she obviously said that it takes, 4 to 6 months for them to go through one cartridge.
Yeah.
At $77,
right.
Which, okay, the price is not so bad, but to say that it takes that long to go through the cartridge is completely false information.
Ridiculous.
And I don't
do you think she was lying, or do you think she was
I don't think she's doing it purposely. I just think they're not educated enough to understand.
Or she's hoping you're not educated enough to
she
know
ran
that
into
she's
the wrong
lying.
person.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when I asked her also how many strains they're growing, and I know for a fact they're not growing 35 strains.
Right.
And if they are, they're probably at a very infant stage.
Is that what she said?
She said she had 35 strains. And they don't understand that a lot of the consultants that they're using in these facilities are people that I was in the business
Right.
or know that are in the business because they've hired outside help to do these types of projects. So when they're saying these types of things, they don't realize that a lot of these people are educated enough or know people that are consulting these companies
Right.
On what they're doing. So that's kind of the reason why I got a little upset. Cheryl was there. I came back in. I started talking to Cheryl. I introduced myself. Very nice lady. I have nothing wrong, bad to say about her. But when it comes down to educating the public in the wrong fashion is what really upsets me.
Well, I think it sounds pretty appealing to the patients, right? But that's not the honest cost. So then when the physician's actually going to sit down with the patient and discuss, this is your treatment plan, this is what we're registering you for, and they find out the cost. I mean, actually, to mention TrueLeave, they are starting March 15th, we'll have whole flower, and it's a pretty good price. It's about $35 for 3.5 grams, or about
That's
an
not
eighth.
bad at all.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's
And
how much?
who would qualify?
$35.
$35 for half? Really? That's not
for
bad.
an eighth, which is like 3.5 grams.
Yes, absolutely.
Who would qualify for whole flower in the current environment?
That would be any of the 10. Any of the 10
listed.
Yeah.
So the presumption is that going forward, we will be able to give whole flower for patients who qualify under the 10 enumerated disorders.
Right, using a vaporizer would be, how they would sell that. So it would probably come with that. But that's
they won't, and I don't mean to
Not
interrupt.
gonna
They won't
smokable
sell
product.
the flower won't come. It would literally come with the vape pen inside it.
No, not a vape pen. So you can actually buy like a Volcano or their vaporizer
Okay.
and use the flower there. So it's made for that. But it's not smokable.
But if it's flower, it would still be able to be put into cigarettes.
Yeah, but they have it in a certain way that, for example, the cups they use in their vaporizer are sealed off, so you're not able to tamper with that. And then their flower could be used like in a Volcano or some type of
Gotcha.
vaporizer
So it
like
has
that.
to be for a specific mechanism, like on the Volcano or
Right.
something like that, so they could. Oh wow,
That's
I
good
didn't
to
know that.
I think patients want to know that.
Yeah, that is huge.
And that's
That's a
why
big
we
thing.
have Dr.
Yeah.
Wiener on here.
Thank you very
And
much.
the benefits of whole flower, now everybody will be able to see the difference between if they're already using a vape pen with just THC, CBD oil versus whole flower, to see the difference in their symptoms.
But here they go again, controlling
the delivery method.
The delivery method, and I understand that they're looking at it as patient's health, but controlling the way you have to do it is it's a little crazy to me.
From a physician standpoint, there has to be control, because how are we supposed to register a patient and put in a certain dose and put in the intervals and what mechanism and dispensary route? There has to be. It's like as if I gave you a prescription for a medication and didn't give you a quantity or didn't give you the amount of times per day.
How would you know what to dose on that?
patient.
Coming from, obviously you're an advocate and you understand this business, but a typical doctor, how would they know whether they're going to give them a sativa, a chem dog, a Girl Scout cookie, or an AK? What tells you what type of flower that patient needs?
Well, you can easily look up what these strains are made of. You're like as anyone, a physician or a patient, is able to see, okay, this is more of a sativa, this is more of an indica. Also, I do think the dispensaries do a great job communicating with physicians, educating them on their products, trying to tell you, okay, this type of patient with this symptom would benefit most from this. And a lot of times it's like a trial and error, like any pill. I could give you one anti-inflammatory that works better than another, and I can give you one strain of marijuana that will work better than another, and I won't know that until you try it. So it's very similar to other
medicine.
conservative medicine, right?
So we know there's 7 dispensaries. According to what's been told to physicians or what you've seen yourself, how many are ready to deliver right now?
So that depends if you're talking about low THC or medical
do
cannabis
both.
with THC. So I can only talk for my personal use, I guess, for patients. I know TrueLeave, Certera, they do have, and Knox, they do have high THC and low THC, or not high THC, but medical cannabis, at least 20% THC. And then I know Modern Health Concepts will have high THC starting in April, but right now they just have their low THC. Those are the ones I've worked with. I know Green Solutions doesn't have. I think there's CHT, is that the other one? They may have. I haven't worked with them yet, and I'm missing one. But
Costa, did you say Costa?
Yeah,
Costa's Modern Health Concepts. Yeah,
and I'm so glad that you're on, because I mean that you're educated in this field, and that's what you bring, honestly, because a lot of the doctors don't understand, what you've just said right now.
I learned more in the past 5 minutes than I have in
and that's big.
5 weeks of this show.
And that's why we have Dr. Weiner on with us today, and hopefully in the near future a lot more, because she understands, and she's an advocate in this. So she's connecting directly with the nurseries. The nurseries are doing the best that they can to inform the doctors and what they should be delivering to their patients. So, on that side, I do applaud them. I just think my only biggest concern is that I know for a fact that 7 nurseries could not take care of the amount of patients that would register in the state of Florida.
All right, I got good news. I got to break this off here. We got Bill Monroe back on the phone after the explosion. Bill, are you there? Bill. Hello, Bill. Maybe not. This is very interesting, at least.
I think we're calling right now. I know Bill's been making comments on our Facebook page.
Bill, are you there?
Our live page.
Bill. Hello, Bill.
We could talk about access if you want.
Yeah, that's
like I'll give you a good example. I had a patient who only got an indica strain, and he called me the other day, and he was saying, I'm sleeping all day. So I told him, all right, let's get you a sativa, right? One of the dispensaries was out of it, and the other one was waiting for a delivery, so it was going to take a few days. And he was, he was pretty upset. I told him, you've been waiting a long time anyway, but he was pretty upset the fact that he wasn't able to get that medication in a timely fashion. I do know that they are having satellite sites. There's going to be one, I know, from Trulieve in Fort Lauderdale, North Miami Beach, in Miami. So that's going to make it a lot easier for the patient to go and pick it up. They don't have to wait. They don't have to pay the fee for delivery. But there's still an issue of getting the medication that you want for your patient, getting the strain or the
and the right strain at that too, because they could have, let's say, 30 strains. When we were growing, we had 80 mothers, and we were doing about 30 strains at the time ourselves, and we were one dispensary. In Colorado.
Was legally in Colorado.
And that was legally in Colorado. So to be able to provide, what they're saying is the statistics show that it's at 1.5% to 2% of your population. So if Florida has pretty much 20 million people, that means that the people that are going to be asking for medical cards is going to be 2 million people.
Yeah.
There's no way that 7 nurseries could kind of handle that, where even if they have satellite locations or satellite dispensaries. And that's what we're fighting for, is having, we could have a vertical plant, because when we were in the business, it was vertical. Our dispensary had to be attached to our grow. That's the way it was in Colorado till 2014. So we understand, there should be some type of vertical with a horizontal platform on there, because there's a lot of educated people in this industry that could provide certain hybrids and certain strains where they could go to a 1-to-1, and you don't start somebody off on a high sativa or a very high indica, and then it's kind of like trial and error. There's a lot of strains nowadays that you could go in a 1-to-1, 5% THC, 5% CBD, or even higher than that. And typically with the people that I've seen that are on, narcotics or pain pills or stuff like that, they typically go more towards that 1-to-1 ratio, that, where they could function, maybe that 7% sativa and 5% CBD, because they're able to function, and at the same time it eliminates that pain for them to avoid to have to take, an opioid, a Percocet, something like that. So I think that's what our hope is to go, vertical, obviously, with horizontal literature in play.
Right, and the challenge is educating physicians on things that, even if we teach in medical school what the therapeutic uses of cannabis, the clinical evidence, we're not talking about actually how to grow and what the strains are. So there has to be some type of education for physicians about these specifics, which I don't know if it's going to come from the dispensaries, because they have to have, they do have clinical educators, but it has to come from somewhere else. And that's a big part that we're missing. Also, the mechanism for how we're, how to use a vaporizer or a vape pen, how to teach your patient
that's a great point.
how to use that. If you don't know how to use it, obviously, then, and you were never taught how to use it, how are you going to teach treat your patient and make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So
and I think
that's a big step that we're missing in this process.
That's a great point, and I think that should be something that the doctors are recommended or almost have to do. Is have an educational platform where they come, they get educated, not their CME, because I saw the CME, and the CME is, I'm not going to get into that part, but
what's CME?
Continuous education to be able to provide the prescriptions for the patients. Really doesn't teach the doctors anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're changing some of that course, and they will as laws change. I'm sure they'll change it. It's an 8-hour course that physicians have to take that costs $995. And it tells them about the history, some clinical uses of cannabis. It talks about the routes of administration, but not that you feel comfortable when you finish that course, going out and making recommendations. And people ask me all the time, why would I choose a tincture versus a vape pen? And you really have to understand why. You have to know how long effects are going to last, what's the onset like, and understand what the objectives are for your patient.
So, and that's the biggest thing. I really think that they should have some type of education for the doctors.
There's a seminar. There's a seminar coming up March 11th.
I think it has to be something that's not a seminar.
Right.
I think it has to be something that they need to come, because there is mechanisms. There's vape pens. There's
I'll give you some good information. I'm doing a program that is going to teach physicians, and all the proceeds go to the Canamoms. You guys know the Canamoms?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
So all the money from the physicians go to the Canamoms, and I'm bringing in a guy who knows a lot about CBD hemp oil and all the different types of routes, and he's going to explain and bring in some products to explain to the physicians, because I think that step is missing.
Yeah,
that's perfect. That's a really important part of the education. Of course, best case scenario, it's happening at the medical schools, but beyond that, it needs to be some type of continuing education, and definitely a part of their orientation.
Yeah, and the challenge is with physicians that they have such pride that they have to realize where they're getting their information from may not be another professor, another physician, an academic person. It may be from someone else who they would have no, personal relationship with, they wouldn't interact with on a normal daily basis, but this person knows a lot about something that they need to be informed about, and they need to be comfortable getting this education from someone.
My doctor had to learn this stuff from me, because he was shocked one day when I came in after my last checkup, and he was like, "What are you doing?" Because you're a year ago I was recommending your leg to be amputated, and now you're running around my office and you look 100 times better. What's going on? And I said, I'm using hemp oil. I'm using hemp oil. And
I learn a lot from my patients.
Yeah, he goes, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. It wasn't anymore. It wasn't, why are you getting better? It was, you can't do that.
Well, that's the ignorance, and that's the stigma that we're trying to fight off.
Pharmacy payoffs too.
Then he went into that. He was talking about all the trips that all these pharmaceutical companies send him on, just for prescribing those medicines. So.
And that's why we're one of the sponsors for the MS Gala for MS Views and News on April 22nd, which is a gentleman, as we talked to him last week, Stuart Schlossman, is somebody that's a big voice on the MS community, and he's seen the hemp oil, the CBD, the products affect their patients and affect them in a very, very positive way. So we're going to continue to educate. That's the reason why we're here, and we're hoping that we continue to spread the news and let people know and have their votes heard in here in Florida.
All right, I have an update for you.
All
the phone lines are completely gone again.
They blew up.
Blew up the phones.
What are you doing to the phones, man?
It's not me. I'm telling you, as soon as we start mentioning
money. Anytime we mention money in pharmacies,
I'm not going to say it again. But
shout out to Mark in Canada. Mark is legally using marijuana. Mark is legally using marijuana in Canada, so he is listening in from that far away. We just want to recognize you, Mark.
Yeah.
So talking about education, I think physicians are missing the education between the difference in CBD, THC, and then hemp oil. And so I think it's not just the dispensaries educating physicians, but they have to understand when would I offer someone perhaps just, hey, let's try this CBD hemp oil. I offer that during that 90-day period. When I get a new patient who I can't recommend cannabis to, who could be a candidate, I'll start them on one of those. And a lot of times they come back and they say, I'm much better. And then maybe I
How
don't
did
even
that-
have to use a
and
dispensary.
How did that work for you? Now that I got you here in this room, how did that work for you when you tried that product?
Well, we tried a lot of the topicals and the tinctures. That's what we started with.
Okay.
And a lot of patients loved it for sleep, for anxiety, for muscle spasms. And now they come back and they ask me for it. So I have to know how to direct them to get those products. And they're also happy because they can get it that first, initial consultation. They can get it that first day and they can try it out. A lot of times they end up using it with family members and spreading it, to other people that they know. I think that the 90-day window, that 90-day period has to probably go away, and I
think
hope
it
that
should
does.
go away because you went to school. The state or the federal government should never come in between a patient-doctor relationship.
Yeah, but it's more so than the fact that you can actually, as a physician, prescribe a synthetic THC like Marinol or an opioid, but you can't recommend medical cannabis, which
That's
is
crazy.
Yeah. So that 90-day period is a problem, but that's a good time for patients to try CBD hemp oil, in my opinion. If you think that they could be a good candidate, you find a good product and they try that, and perhaps they're good with that. They don't even have to use dispensaries.
And that's what we got when we got into the business. I mean, I think 90% of the population could use CBD oil or hemp oil,
Right.
And a lot of them are non-smokers of medical marijuana.
Yeah.
So they could start there and then
see if it
then
works.
if that works, then they don't have to take the next step. But having the option to be able to get medical marijuana from a doctor is key, because there's so many things that would stop the doctors from prescribing if that works for their patient.
Right.
It's a more of a holistic alternative way.
Before we started, you guys were having an interesting conversation about suppositories. So I think there's a huge opportunity to educate about suppositories. And Michelle, you were saying, Dr. Wiener, you were saying that a lot of your patients come in proactively asking about suppositories. So.
Yeah, so I'm very comfortable as a physician talking about this.
Everybody in the room, we got the whole clique. Everybody's like, "What? Not me! Not me! It wasn't me."
And I purposely bring this up often to try to get other people to be comfortable, because I have a lot of pelvic pain patients, and there's a lot of different cancers that cause pain that patients can benefit from suppositories. Right now, like we were talking about some CBD hemp oil, for example, you guys have edibles. The dispensaries don't have that right now, and so a lot of patients are asking for that. Similar to suppositories, some patients who have pelvic pain could benefit from a suppository with cannabis, even just CBD, for PMS, for different types of cancer, uterine cancer, rectal cancer. We were talking about
Sexual
hemorrhoids.
abuse.
Right, patients who have sexual abuse that may have pelvic pain and a lot of depression and problems with sleep and lack of motivation due to that. So these are good options. And the other thing is suppositories, if they do have THC, they don't cross the blood-brain barrier, so they're not going to cause that high that you would normally get with THC.
Right.
So it could be another alternative that people should be comfortable talking about, that dispensaries are able to have offer to the patients.
And that's even more reason why we need to expand the market. So the current dispensaries, they don't have it. They don't have it in stock, and patients need it. So there's a problem there. That was not the intention of Amendment 2, is for the patients to be limited in their access to this medication. If you have something where, like, say, a suppository could assist you and help you, why should you have to take something orally because they don't have it?
Right, and things like uterine fibroids are very common. People have a lot of lower abdominal, pelvic pain or spasms, and this could be a good option for them to relieve some of the spasms and the pain.
Yeah, I gotta take a break real quick here, because I gotta go down to my tool shed to get some tools to fix the phone bank. Okay, so you are currently tuned to Cannabis Life Radio, brought to you by Green Roads World.
Cannabis Life Radio is paid programming. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of JVC Broadcasting, its management, or staff. This is the most unique radio show in America. This is Florida's only cannabis radio program. This is Cannabis Life Radio. This is it. Cannabis Life Radio is on the air. If you need cannabis as medicine, you need Cannabis Life Radio.
Yo, Cannabis Life Radio.
Cannabis Life Radio, we're back. It's been a busy week in Tallahassee.
Oh, yes, it has been.
Crazy stuff. What happened?
I mean, first we got hijacked. Let's make it nice and clear right now.
Yeah.
Right.
We had 2 other guests that were coming on,
right?
And the panel blew up again like
Right.
last week.
Yeah.
So the conspiracy is on.
It's not like this place has bad equipment. I'm telling you, I know this. I know about equipment, radio equipment.
It was
this
working fine.
Works perfectly until we walk in the door, and then
Everything blows
there's
up.
an explosion.
I'm sorry
lights
for interrupting.
go out.
No.
I just had to say that because
No,
we had guests
because
and we can't even get them on the
We
phone.
started off, we promised you all these different perspectives, and we're not delivering this week, but we will definitely deliver next week, and it's because of an issue, technical issue. But besides that, as far as legislature in Tallahassee, we've consistently over the weeks been talking about the dueling bills, the Brandis bill, the Bradley bill. Well, 2 more Senate bills dropped this week. One was the Artillis bill, which feels really similar to Bradley.
Right.
And then the other one was the Brannon bill, which actually hit Friday night.
Okay.
And that one is kind of promising. It's definitely pro-expansion. 10 MMTC, so 10 new licenses.
So
that'll
bring it up to 17.
That will bring it up to 17.
And that would be probably enough in your estimation, sir?
It would be a great start.
It would be a good start.
And again, I don't.
How many does Colorado have?
Oh, too many.
Too many?
Not that I would say too many. Let me take that
Hundreds?
back.
Do they have hundreds?
What ended up happening in Colorado is that it was completely vertical,
Right.
where it was a dispensary attached to your grow. That
Right.
was mandated. You had to have that.
Right.
Then they realized that they had 700, 800 dispensaries that had additional grows. They only had 12 people, oversight committee, that were going to these grows.
Right, and they couldn't inspect them.
Correct. Even though we had Department of Justice cameras in there, you had to
Right.
get badged to walk into the facility, which is another thing that they need to attach to the legislation, which is being badged to be able to go into this facility. Just not anybody could walk into it.
Right.
It's got to be treated like a pharmacy or a pharmaceutical, facility, because that's very important, and they could have the oversight. So what ended up happening with that is then they went recreational.
Right.
Once they went recreational, they sent the fire marshal in there,
Right.
And they basically shut down about 80%. 85% of the grows.
Of all the grows, they shut them all down.
They shut them down. Then they allowed the big guys to come in, the bigger grows, and then they allowed you to buy wholesale because you couldn't really buy wholesale. It was a 70-30 rule. So if we grew 100 pounds for our dispensary in Colorado, we would be able to wholesale 30% of that. So
right.
70%
had to be sold on site.
On site.
Okay. So now I'm understanding.
So now you're understanding. So I think here it's got to have to grow just slowly.
Right.
It just can't just be like, oh, here you go, everybody
Wild,
apply,
wild
let's
west,
just start popping things up.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good start because they're going to realize that they're going to need more than 17, and that's my favorite number. So I think they're going to need more than that, but at least they're open-minded to it now.
And
they need to continue to add to that because it adds employment. And that's another issue that I had when the nursery was speaking. How many employees are they hiring? What's the diversity that they're hiring and they're employing?
Right.
We have 42 employees, and we're continuing to grow. If we take the other facility, we'll be at 60 employees. So we're adding jobs, and that's one of the biggest things for us. We're a very diverse company, and I think that should be something that should be, in the forefront.
Right.
Allowing everybody to get into this industry because it helps everybody, and it could create a lot. 300,000 jobs, I think it was talking about by 2020.
More than manufacturing.
Any of these bills, which one, which bill they're going to go with? I mean,
Well,
why are we even
not
discussing
Not true.
Not true.
No, there's
Not true.
still wiggle room. Again, we have minorities
Everybody's
for
yelling at me.
The Minorities for Medical Marijuana has some diversity language they've been discussing, and Green Roads has been reviewing some diversity language as well. We also with this Brannon bill, there is a provision for 4 additional every 25,000 patients, as long as it doesn't exceed a certain amount of pharmacies in the area. So there is a provision for continued growth. It's not like 100,000 number like we saw in like the other bills like Artillis, where it goes from 250 to 350.
And that's huge.
So
25,000 people that's a good number to start with.
So is that talking about 25,000 patients registered? Is
Yes.
that what you're talking about?
And then
Because
4
now it's like
additional-
250, right? 250,000
Yes.
patients before they open up more
Absolutely.
licenses? That's
so
crazy.
the 250,000 requirement has been taken out. So automatically with the passage of the Brannon bill, we would get 10. and then every 25,000, which the patient count will be monitored every 6 months, every 25,000 new patients, then they're going to add 4 more dispensaries.
So how about the addition of other diagnoses? We were talking about how chronic pain or peripheral neuropathy or even muscle spasms is not one of the 10.
I didn't see that. I have to take a look at it from that perspective.
And I think we've been talking to Tallahassee and to people in Tallahassee in reference to certain, why is this not added to the bill, and why can't this treatment be used for this type of disease or pain or muscle spasm, as I thought, and you corrected me, that I thought was on that list. Those are things between that and residency, which I just saw on one of the last bills that were written. It's huge to be able to keep the money in Florida.
Right.
There's a reason why Colorado is very strict about its residency rules. You need to be a 2-year resident before you can actually get into that business. And we have plenty of people here that could do that. You should be mandated to be a resident here. If you want to consult with an outside company, that's fine. Have them come in, let them consult. But to be part or owner of the business, you should have to be a resident.
Right. Otherwise, you're a carpetbagger.
Another positive about this Braden bill is it does say the applicant must be an entity in existence for 5 years. So there is that resident with the Secretary of State. So there is the residency requirement there. And another piece that's optimistic is the fact that as far as equity holders, there's a 5%. If you have more than 5% equity, then you have to pass a level 2 background check. That creates an opportunity for individuals to own like 4.99% or less than that. So they may not have to do the level 2 background check, and this gives an opportunity to people who were victims of the war on drugs to have some ownership. Because, again, there is a theory that how are these people who are getting in with all the suits and money different from drug dealers in the past who got these long-term sentences? So
and let's not say drug dealers. They sold medical marijuana and they got in trouble.
That's why.
And now they're in jail. They're in jail for that.
Absolutely.
And now it's becoming legal. Rec states, 8 of them, and medical on 29 states. So they went to jail for something that now, exactly like you said, people with suits and ties are now getting into the business, and that shouldn't be held against anybody applying for an application.
I was using the war on drugs language, so
and I agree with that.
So that's how they're perceived, but how are they different from these individuals now who are making millions on large quantities of marijuana and giving it to the public? So that's one of the highlights. As far as the black farmers, they still have, of the next 10 licenses, they would get one of the next 10 licenses. But in the prior bill, they didn't have to have the 30-year nurseryman requirement, and they didn't have the 400,000 plant requirement, which in this bill it seems like they're going to have the same requirements as everyone else.
They are going to have that. They're going to have the requirements of having the 30-year?
In the new bill, it doesn't kind of say you don't have to comply with the 30-year nurseryman.
Oh, thank goodness. Because all they're going to do is sell the, there's a couple of these nurseries that are up for sale already.
Okay, they are. So
what's the point?
Right. So they do have the 30-year nurseryman in this new bill.
We don't understand what they're talking about.
And they do have the 400,000 plants.
We have to ask what you guys are talking about. The 30-year rule. The 30-year rule is the rule that says that the nurseries, the people that get the licenses, have to be in the nursery business for 30 years.
Yes.
Okay. And that remains plants, right?
Yes. And that remains in this proposed Braden bill.
And we all know why that was written in. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That just makes no sense.
So
I know why it was written in.
But it allows
that's all Rick Scott's friends.
Right.
Okay.
It does allow for edibles. So that's positive.
How about what happens in other states with patients who are in the hospital in non-recreational states that have cards and are using cannabis? What happens when they're admitted to the hospital? Do you guys know about that?
I've seen films of children receiving
cannabis. Are they able to use it?
Yeah.
I mean,
in a different state.
Yeah, well, because here. I mean, what's going to happen when patients are admitted to the hospital using cannabis?
This bill specifically says you cannot import, but as far as exporting, it allows for exporting as long as you're in alignment with federal rules. As far as car transfer,
car transferability,
there's no reciprocity.
Right, but say I have a patient on medical marijuana and they get admitted to the hospital. Are they able to keep it in their room and use it?
Yes, they are. To my understanding,
great question.
It's not a federal building. So if it's not a federal building, they could bring their medication into that hospital
Makes
if
sense.
they're being admitted.
I think that should definitely be clarified and stated.
We got to find this out.
Well,
get Bill Monroe on it if our phone ever works again.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the answer to that one. I think it is a good hypothetical situation that needs to be detailed. I think, to be honest with you, that's not one of the top priority issues they're looking at right now. Right now, they're just trying to figure out how many dispensaries, who gets them, how can we make sure patients get access. And I think once we have something in place, then we can kind of fine-tune the other things and those hypotheticals that the legislators clearly they're just not ready to think about yet.
Yeah, and I don't think it's I don't think it would be an issue, Doc. I think if that's a medication that another doctor has prescribed them and they're in Florida and they have their red card.
Right, but the difference is it would have to be in their possession in the room as opposed to the nurse holding the medication. Like,
that's true.
Like
that's true.
Right, like my practice, we have 5 doctors, a lot of different mid-levels. We go to different hospitals and skilled nursing facilities. So what happens when I recommend this, to an outpatient who's then admitted to the hospital, or I want an inpatient to use this? It's going to be tricky. And then I don't know what to tell the patient. Do I tell them don't bring it to the hospital, or bring it but keep it? So I don't actually know the law about that.
Yeah, I think there's not. I don't think there's anything stated on that. So it's one of those things that the patient has to do what's best for them, and we just need to double check they're not violating any laws. But I don't think that's been thought of. So therefore, I don't think that's illegal.
Well, it was brought up here by Dr. Wiener.
Yeah, so we need to look into it.
Good job.
Yeah,
we'll find out the answer one way or another.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good avenue for CBD hemp oil. Though.
Yes,
it's totally legal. So
absolutely,
you can carry that anywhere.
Yeah,
I have it in my bag. I'm about to dose as soon as we go to commercial.
Getting a little stressed, my brother. Getting a little stressed.
This one here?
Yeah,
oh no, he's good. He's good. He's good.
It's a 6.5.
He's got on lock.
I don't even know what day it is anymore. I just go. I do what I need to do.
Yeah.
One other thing on this bill, and then I'll turn it over to you, is that physicians no longer have to turn in treatment plans to the University of Florida. So that's a huge
great.
win for the physicians
Right.
after the public hearings.
True, after the Amendment 2 eliminates that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a little break here. You are currently listening to Cannabis Life Radio, brought to you by Green Roads World.
Hey, I guess it's true, I'm not good at a one-night stand, but I still need love, 'cause I'm just a man. These nights never seem to go to plan. No, I don't want you to leave. Will you hold my hand? Oh, won't you stay with me? 'Cause you're all I need. This ain't love, it's clear to see. But darling, stay with me. Why am I so emotional? No, it's not a good look, gain some self-control. And deep down I know this never works, but you can lay with me so it doesn't hurt. Oh, won't you stay with me? 'Cause you're all I need. This ain't love, it's clear to see. Darling, stay with me.
This is the most unique radio show in America. This is Cannabis Life Radio.
Definitely the most unique radio program in America.
Yes, we still are having technical difficulty with our
What are you talking
phones,
about?
but the show must go on.
What are you talking about?
We're going to have Sabo
There's nothing
Shen
wrong.
and Elaine Geller back on next week. So we're the whole lineup, Rachel Nickel, Elaine Geller, Sabo Shen. We're going to have them on next week.
And Bill Monroe.
Hello? And Bill Monroe.
Oh, of course, Bill
Excuse
Monroe.
me?
In the know with
Don't
Bill
you
Monroe.
leave Bill Monroe
That's
off
our
that
first
list.
guy. That's our first guy. Always.
Yeah, we got lots of stuff still going on, even though that our phone lines have burned alive. Why is this guy constantly behind my back?
Because he
bro?
loves you, man. He loves
Constantly.
you.
Every time the mic is on me.
That's the crew. That's the crew.
You get nervous, huh?
Goodness, I don't get nervous, but when somebody's standing behind me and doing
look how
what
sensitive he's getting. Wow.
Yeah, we need to
I'm
get
not
some CBD up in here.
I got
That's what the problem is.
I have some in my bag, man.
Yeah.
Give me some. Hey, by the way, when I got run over by a car a couple of months ago, every time I have bad things happen to me, Doc. Sorry.
I
got run over by a car a couple of months ago, and I was like out really bad. I got run over really bad. One of your people came over and gave me a bottle of CBD oil. You don't even know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I mean, it helped. I was in bad shape, and I just want to thank you. Sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That was me hitting Arby.
Let me ask you a question. How is the product, since you've been on the radio, how has the product helped in your facility, like at Florida Homegrown?
Yeah, Florida Homegrown. We sell a lot of Arby's products, and people come in and talk about the results that they get from CBD and hemp oil, and it's unbelievable. The stuff that I've seen is crazy. People think I'm making it up, but I'm not making it up. I mean, so it's
been positive for your store.
Yeah, it's all positive. Trust me, it's all positive. All positive. I give every customer or client, like I like to call them, my phone number and tell them that they have a problem or a question about the product. They can call me 24 hours a day. Nobody ever calls me. It works.
I think that could be two reasons why for that.
Come on now, it's not that bad. Oh, I got a new bit for you, Arby.
Uh-oh.
A new bit for you, Cheryl. A new
All
bit
right.
for you, Doc. Are you ready? I got some news.
We're ready.
We're going to call it World Weed News.
World Weed
Get
News.
it? Instead of worldwide.
www.
We got some music for World Weed News. Do we have some music? Yeah, that's pretty professional, isn't it?
I like that.
World Weed News. Brought to you by Cannabis Life Radio. That's pretty professional.
Fantastic.
Okay. Federally, a bill has been introduced to end the federal marijuana prohibition. Did you know about this?
Yes, I did.
House Resolution number 1227.
Yep.
Excludes marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act. So what we were basically trying to do is to remove it from the Controlled Substances Act will
Well, they're trying to make it a 3.
That would be a Schedule 3, or would remove it from Schedule at all?
The one that I read changes it into a Schedule 3.
Okay.
At that point in time, it kind of opens the door, and I want it to be decriminalized, obviously,
Right.
but when you open it up, and we've tried to keep Big Pharma and the R.J. Reynolds, the tobacco companies, and these alcohol companies as far away from this industry as we can. Once you open it up to different scheduling and you put it into a Schedule 3, what you're doing is you're allowing everybody that has millions and millions and millions of dollars to get us into this industry, and they've been trying.
Yeah,
they've been trying really hard to get into it, but a lot of people have passion in this industry not to allow the tobacco companies to get in, not allow the alcohol companies to get in, and Big Pharma to get in, which is really what's held them back.
Yeah,
is having it as a Scheduled 1 for you to be able to do studies and research on this type of product. You need to go and apply to the DEA, to the FDA, and then go, and then they'll allow you to study CBD or those types of products. So once you open it up and you put it as a schedule, if they eliminate it completely, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think
but
that's
if
what
they
it
make
is.
it into a schedule, then it becomes a problem because then it's prescription based, and you still have to go see a doctor.
Because what it says here is that it leaves it to the states to regulate how they can how they see fit. So it would take that off of the schedule.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the people that run for politicians.
Yeah,
I mean, the politicians, their number one sponsor is pharmaceutical companies, and that's across the board: Democrats, Republicans, Independents. Their main sponsor when they go and they run for office is big pharma.
Pharmaceuticals, yeah. All right. Well, story number 2. You ready for this?
Wait, I got a comment about one.
Okay.
So I think physicians would feel much more comfortable with more research and more evidence. So obviously, if it's not a Schedule I anymore, and there's more clinical trials, not just some animal studies or some small anecdotal type of evidence, and there's larger randomized control studies, then the physicians would feel more comfortable, be able to educate a little bit. And then it would probably get into the medical schools and things like that.
Right, but the reason that it's not in the medical school stuff to begin with is because it's
Schedule I, there's no evidence.
But again, I mean, the doc has a good point, and I tend to disagree on that aspect. I think the education should be there because there's receptors in the endocannabinoid system that's in our body, so it should be in the education system already. And just by having it in that system doesn't mean that they need to declassify it. They should be giving education on that because it's in our human body.
Right.
But once you declassify it, you allow all these other big companies and big pharma to get into the business and eliminate the mom and pops that have been growing this industry forever. And that
right. But eventually, you want to help the masses. You want things to be covered by perhaps insurances. You want patients to not have to pay for some of these products, and that's the only way to have it done is to do some big studies.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's good to get to be able to do a lot more research on it and allow these universities to really find out what's helping in the different cannabinoids. There's 116. I just got off this week. I was talking to Haifa University, and they found 116 cannabinoids. When I got in this business, they used to say there was 30 to 40.
Yeah.
So then it went to 60 to 70. Well, they found 116 different cannabinoids right now. And that's where the studies come in. So I agree on one side and I disagree on the other because I know once they open this up to the masses, the big money is going to eat up, all the jobs and all the opportunities in this industry.
All right, on to a story 2 from World Weed News. You ready? You love that name. House panel Thursday approved a proposal that would make it harder for voters to change the Florida Constitution. I wonder why they're doing that. They're raising the bar. What it was 50%. And then it went to 60% for voters to amend the Constitution. Now it's going to be 66%.
It fits their number perfect. All you just need to do is add an extra 6.
666.
That's hilarious. That is so fun. But when you look at the federal Constitution, it's been changed 26 times. When you look at the Florida Constitution, it's been changed a couple hundred times.
Right, but the problem with it, the people that wrote the Constitution in Florida knew that the people in Tallahassee were not going to be representing necessarily the people 800 miles away. So they put this in there so that the people could be represented with their own voice, and we could get this stuff done if the people that are voted in are not listening to us. So. Some of the stuff is enacted, some of it isn't. Some of this is the pregnant pig stuff, and that's the reason we went up to the 60% in the first place. But now they're getting 66. When is it going to stop? Is it going to be? And
I agree with you.
They basically make it sound like it's an annoyance to them. Listen to this. This is a village industry of how to go around the legislature. The answer is always, what do you do when the lawmakers are unresponsive? So they're upset that the people have a voice in what's going on because these people are not doing their job.
And that's why the U.S. Constitution starts "We the people," because really the power lies with the people, always has, always will.
All right.
And I think that's a good point.
All right. Well, story number 3, President Trump is close to naming marijuana legalization advocate to head the FDA.
Yep. That's, I wouldn't say that's...
Everybody's screaming at the other.
I was like, yes.
Yes, we like that guy. Yeah, this guy is the only supporter in the cabinet that supports legalized marijuana that we know of. He used to be the board of directors for a coalition of cannabis policy reform, and he also is best friends with Peter Thiel, who is a huge Donald Trump supporter and the guy who invented PayPal.
I mean, this is going to add so many jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been to Colorado, you could see the roads, everything that they've done. So if they continue to go in this direction, because all the states right now, if you take a vote, you could see that most of the people would want medical marijuana.
Well,
on the recreational side, it's a little bit tough because it's
because that money used to go to the drug cartels. It used to go to criminal enterprises. Now it's being taxed, and it goes back into the communities and helps people. That's the reason. But this guy, as being involved in the FDA, is it going to help the CBD industry? That's the one I wanted to ask you. Do you think that the guy is, a part of the FDA, which controls, the food and the drugs technically in the United States? Would this help?
Again, a lot of these companies are studying, these universities, including GW Pharmaceuticals, are studying the CBD part of the plant. They're using a 99% pure CBD product to make to do their trials here in the United States for the seizure medication that they're trying to launch. So I think that they really can't compound a plant. You can't do that.
Right.
So there's always going to be other avenues and other types of CBD, whether they just make CBD a schedule. Is it going to be all the cannabinoid system? Is it going to be all the CBDs?
So right now, CBD oil is a Schedule 1?
It is a Scheduled 1.
Okay.
It's a Scheduled 1.
But it's a dietary supplement, right?
They don't allow you to say that. The FDA doesn't allow to say that. The difference between our company and what we do is that we have an association with the Farm Bill in Colorado, and you have two different licensing in Colorado, which one is for health studies through a university, and the second one is for research, marketing, and developing on products, seeing if the market accepts these type of products. And as we were speaking earlier, we self-regulate our company. We kind of run it like OTC on our products. We lot, we batch, we make sure we send out for testing on all our products to make sure that between the solvents, the metals, and anything else that might be in the oil is tested. So it really kind of opens up the market. People don't understand what they want to make into a drug, but CBD, making it a Scheduled 1 when it's non-addicting.
Mm-hmm. But you can't technically make any claims for treatment with
correct.
it.
Right.
Not yet.
Right.
No.
And
when dosing.
You say not yet, when would you legally be able to?
We're going into phase 1 trials ourselves on certain products. So there is certain companies that are in that space right now where they could make a certain product and say that it does this and it treats this ailment.
Right, because that's from a physician standpoint. My practice is called Spine and Wellness Centers of America. We have like almost 10 offices from Palm Beach to Kendall. We've used and recommended those products, but as a physician, you have to feel comfortable if you can't say this has this therapeutic use, if you can't actually say that.
Here's where the difference comes in.
Just anecdotally,
you're a doctor. We're not a doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
You could
We ain't
say,
no doctor.
Right.
you could say that this product will help you or can help you with this because you've done the research.
on
You could look
research
at it based
and
on research
observations.
and observations. You as a doctor could say that. Us as the manufacturer of the product cannot say that.
They can't
so it
assert
separates us from that. In other words, you can't say it, we can't.
Okay.
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on the radio.
So I know you're weed news. I'll let you finish that. I have a couple announcements after weed.
Okay, I'm almost done with
World
weed
weed news.
World weed news. I've almost screwed it up enough. The UN has warned the U.S. and Canada about legalizing marijuana. The United Nations panel responsible for enforcing anti-drug treaties just issued a stark warning to the United States, Canada, and other countries where where marijuana legalization is being considered and enacted. So the UN is basically trying to crack down on the United States for heading down the road of legalization of marijuana.
That brings me down to a sheriff out of Carson City, Sheriff Furlong. He actually came out on the news. He was interviewed, and he said, now this is coming from a city that is in the top 5 of overdoses, death overdoses.
Opiates?
Meth, opiates, and heroin.
Nice.
Now, he leads, he's in the top 5, so he should be proud of himself at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that marijuana was the number one reason of violent crime.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And
said it's not meth,
so
it's
he
not heroin.
actually said he might have been. I don't know what he was on.
Yeah, there was something.
He was on something different.
Something wrong with him.
And again, he's a sheriff, and we all respect to law enforcement.
Yeah.
We support a lot. All our law enforcement. We donate. We do whatever we need to do to support them. We got an open door policy. But when you have a sheriff of a city that's saying that marijuana is their number one violent crime problem, when you're in the top 5 of meth
and
heroin and opiate, and most likely to die of an overdose in the top 3, you're really attacking the wrong problem.
He's probably trying to put the blame off on somebody else. That's probably what happened.
I don't know who he's putting the blame on, but he should handle his opiate and meth heroin problem in his own.
There's just like a huge education issue, and on Tuesday of this week, I had the opportunity to go to the Lauderdale Lakes City Commission meeting and got the opportunity to take the floor and just give the residents a legislative update. And I think going forward, that's what we want to do across the state, is localize our efforts and make sure that we're speaking to the local city commissions, the county commissions, and just educating. Not like, sometimes I think we're coming for something, or we're coming because we want to place a dispensary in their town, whatever. Right. Yes, we want that, but I think it's really important to approach from an educational standpoint. This is what's happening in Tallahassee. This is what the research is showing. This is what the patients are saying, and really making sure that comes across. And everybody was very responsive, the residents, and it's more of a, the people, I don't know what the community makeup is, the demographics, but the people who were present, it was from an older demographic, more seniors. They were completely ears open, completely listening to the update, and they want to know more about it, and they want it accessible to them in their neighborhood. So I think we're going to see more of our advocacy groups going grassroots and speaking to the local communities.
And also educating, like they still talk about it being a gateway drug. The only way it's really a gateway drug is that patients are looking for it and getting it through the black market, where then other people can offer them things that lead to other messes later on. So
agreed, yeah, for sure.
So and also, if you're looking to get involved, there are 2 really amazing opportunities to get involved here in Florida. So first, we have the Minorities for Medical Marijuana is having their lobby day. That is going to be March 14th in Tallahassee. They're partnering with Florida Can and a number of organizations, and it's going to be a huge event. You want to be there. Tallahassee, where they'll break down exactly where they'll break down exactly where you want to be. Also, Cannabis Lab, go to legallearningseries.com, and there's a list of events and other information. There's also a newsletter that came out yesterday from the Legal Learning Series that's really good information, and they're also seeking writers for that publication. Also on March 14th, the same day we're in Tallahassee, Broward County, they're going to have their commission meeting at the Government Center at 10 a.m. So plan to be out there. There's going to be a big crowd of advocates and supporters. Great opportunity to network and meet people who are like-minded and trying to move forward with legalization and getting patients access.
And that's the way it should go. If you want to get in this industry, you got to be part of groups. You got to get involved in that side of the business. Get to meet people like Cheryl, like Dr. Wiener, like Leon. Get involved in groups and continue to go to those meetings and understand what's going on with legislation and stuff like that. Dr. Wiener had something to say.
Right. As a physician, if you're interested, Florida Cannabis Coalition does monthly webinars. Myself, Dr. Rosado, does these webinars on the weekend, different topics to educate patients and physicians. And then we're also having that physician-based day educating on ethics and therapeutic uses, dosing, administrative routes, and all the proceeds, again, go to Canamom. So you can find that information on my website, Med Cannabis Florida, or Spine and Wellness Centers of America.
Also, Minorities for Medical Marijuana.org is a good source as well.
Yeah, so there's so many avenues that people could really be part of. There's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of groups that'll be able to educate, and you can learn and meet people and understand that you might not have to touch plant to be part of this industry.
Yeah.
It's not about just growing.
Right.
It's about being the whole thing, whether it's on the marketing side, the security side. There's going to be manufacturing side for edibles. There's so many different avenues that you could get into this industry without having to worry or having $1 million in the account, and that's not even probably enough.
And the other thing is, as a patient, a lot of patients are wondering if they're candidates, and they shouldn't be wondering. They should just go see a physician, an educated physician, and discuss it, because a lot of people say, well, I don't have these 10 diagnoses, but you may have a medical debilitating condition that is chronic, that is like one of these conditions, that a physician is able to help you with either a recommendation or some even CBD oil.
We'll definitely be talking after the show.
While you guys were talking, I got my tool chest out and I actually fixed the phone lines. So,
all right.
Yeah, we do have a phone call. I believe it's from Maryland. Hello, you're there. You're live on Cannabis Life Radio. Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
It worked.
Good. How you doing today?
You have a question, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right, lay it on me.
I see how y'all fighting on your side. I'm trying to fight a different approach.
Okay.
I mean, I got a couple of gay friends here in Maryland.
All right.
It was part of the gay movement.
Mm-hmm.
They could take a moral standard and kick it to the side to be who they are. Why are people still getting arrested for a stupid stereotype? It's beyond me. Where's the lawsuit at?
We were actually just talking about the LGBT community here with Dr. Wiener, that we want to bring in everybody should be part of this movement. No matter what background, ethnicity, or what type of lifestyle you want to live. That's the whole point of living in America, is being able to be part of any type of group and continuing to educate yourself in this business.
And one of my clients in the Naples, Florida area, his name is Dr. Clint Potter, and he's referred to as the Rainbow Doctor. So he makes sure that he gives care to people from the LGBT community where they may not be comfortable seeing a traditional physician. And I'm actually writing an article for him in the April issue of High Life magazine. So speaking of High Life magazine, Dr. Michelle Wiener is in the March issue.
I haven't seen it yet.
And she hasn't seen it yet, but I'll just show everybody.
Well, that's very nice.
She wrote a really nice article in the March issue, which is inside the front page. So you're going to see more of a focus. When Minorities for Medical Marijuana talks about diversity, we're talking about ethnic diversity, but we're also talking about socioeconomic diversity. We're talking about the lack of women in the industry. We talk about the LGBT community. It's all aspects. Everyone is welcome. We know the user base for cannabis is varied and diverse, and the support is varied and diverse as well.
And it's important to feel comfortable with your provider. If you don't feel like you can share certain things about your cultural beliefs or the way you're living your life, then that's probably not a good fit for you.
Right.
I don't mind speaking my mind.
Yeah, apparently not, sir.
We love it.
Yeah,
we welcome you. Either.
And we like to do that too. All right,
brother. I'll talk to a friend. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You are currently tuned to Cannabis Life Radio, brought to you by Green Roads World.
Across the state and across the country, the Hemp Kings is your online home for hemp oil products. From organic hemp oils to intense concentrates, there is only one name you need to remember: the Hemp Kings. The Hemp Kings. Our hemp cream pain blaster lotions use natural essential oils to deliver hemp's natural pain reliever directly to the site of inflammation for long-lasting relief. Now, our Pain Blaster hemp cream has gone to the extreme. New Pain Blaster Extreme delivers even more relief, even faster. The best hemp products at the best prices, delivered anywhere in the continental U.S. TheHempKings.com. TheHempKings.com.
Florida Home Grow is the state's #1 seller of hemp oil products. Stop by and check out their organic hemp oils, capsules, and pain-killing topical lotions. Enjoy a complimentary cup of fresh organic coffee when checking out our beautiful showroom. Florida Home Grow also carries unique hemp items like jewelry, soaps, clothing, and accessories. Don't forget to try refreshing natural lemonade or a delicious organic ice cream sandwich. Florida Home Grow is conveniently located on Lake Worth Road between Jog and the Turnpike. We're Florida's #1 seller of hemp oil products because our stuff works.
Marley's Tobacco Shop, your one stop for pipes, papers, and other smoking accessories, including a huge selection of all your favorite raw papers and cones. Marley's offers a wide array of hand-blown glass pipes and water pipes, many from local artists. Check out their selection of vaporizers and e-cigarettes and e-liquids, along with plenty of incense to light up your place. Visit Marley's locations 2 in Boca or head to Palm Beach and Jupiter. Marley's Tobacco, a family-owned tobacco shop with a minor in vaping. Marley's Tobacco, they're smoking.
Wheel it, selector, wheel it. Until the beast is not kept and step across and seal it. There's a fireman a burn.
when the table turn.
We are the best of the best. No fool can cheap with our chest. In a hurt, we no see we contest, so they'll burn no fly past them nest. Cause we are the best of the best, the best of the best of the best of the best. Ready for stripping at them nest and press and tell them not try disrespect.
I listen, I see, I go lick them with that lightning ball. Red, green, and gold, and we no whitening wall. My lip, them no white, so we no biting squall. I'll see, I'll me praise while them my pin sal. Get a clap, get a quick, get a lightning call. Babylon, them this man get a frightening fall. Them stuck up and them clog up like the piping wall. Them this me and them judgment call. Again, we are the roughest, no we are the toughest. Things them attack, make them know we have the toughest. No we are the roughest, no we are the toughest. My track record, none of them can touch it. No we are the roughest, no we are the roughest. I swear they get to use them for them in the roughest. No we are the roughest, no we are the toughest. Longevity when we project it.
Alright, no man a bun, them like a cup of tea. Champion a champion, now you will see. Yo, me not take no help like happy tree. Bird with the ear and fish, we go back and see. When you hear this voice of Anthony B, I know I'm in the work can't turn up over me. Woman alone can't walk on me property. Emperor Selassie, I give me the authority. Cause you're the best of the best. No fool can keep in our chest. In our earth, we no see no contest. So tell a bird no fly past them nest. Cause you're the best of the best, the best of the best of the best of the best. Ready for stepping at them nest and press on, tell them not try disrespect. When this goes soon, let them dance and clean the floor. Surprising scene, thing never seen before. This a one a real, all along them a dream before. When this must never hear so much siren before. Now you pan this boy, they clean something before. But when I come, you know we have cut left the scene before. Forensic and this SWAT team come lock the score and knock them door. So we are the best of the best. No fool can keep in our chest. In our earth we no see we contest. So tell a bird no fly past them nest. We are the best of the best, the best of the best of the best of the best. Ready to step in at them nest and press on, tell them not try disrespect.
Yo, talk about the best that we rise and never fall. Talk about the best that we standing tall. Talk about the best that we rule overall. Talk about the best that we name of the call. Talk about the best go take a current check.
If you need cannabis as medicine, you need Cannabis Life Radio.
Here we go.
Here we go, yo.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Man, this time went too quick, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when a lot of action happens during our radio show.
Yeah, a lot of activity, a lot of
We're
good
not short of
news,
that,
so
that's for sure.
A lot of updates.
Been doing this for about 30 years, and that is by far the strangest radio program that I've ever been a part of. I've never seen so many things, so many weird things happen in one shift. Oh. And she goes, let me tell you something, Leon. You have the face for radio.
Yeah.
I do have a face for radio.
That was a throwback.
Yep.
Throwback Sunday.
Welcome to Cannabis Life Radio.
We got the best producer, man.
Yes,
I'm telling you
apparently.
right now, we got the
You
best
notice
producer.
I'm turning my back to him.
Big up to Errol.
I'm Leon Hamilton, along with R.B. Barroso and Cheryl Murray Powell.
Hello there.
And Dr. Wiener is here to enlighten us with medicinal knowledge.
Absolutely, and it's been a pleasure having her on.
Thank you for having me.
You got to come more often here.
So great.
Yeah. We're going to check our emails now, which used to be called Arby's Mail Sack, by the way.
Why'd you change it?
Because he didn't like the name.
I don't mind it. I really don't care.
Okay, let's check Arby's Mail Sack then.
You really want to check my mail sack?
Here's the first letter I found in Arby's Mail Sack. I heard purple strains help with pain more. Is that true? That's Mark in Boca.
It really all depends on the hybrid.
So the color doesn't mean anything?
It doesn't mean anything.
So that's just like clickbait that you
It's
see
like
on
purple haze or something like that. It really all depends on the genetics of the plant.
Yeah.
So they say that about food, though. Purple foods have antioxidants, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if it transfers to marijuana.
So medical marijuana is legal in Florida. Does that mean I'm good to smoke?
No.
Joel.
No. And I'll let Dr. Wiener answer that.
Yeah, that's definitely written in the amendment that you're not able to smoke it. So even if you do have get whole flower from a dispensary, it's not able to be smoked as of right now.
Okay. Another one. What does weed do to your brain?
That's a whole show, I think.
For you.
Yeah, we could
That question is for you. That's from Brian in West Palm Beach.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the old poor evidence basically was very misleading. Now it's shown that it actually can be neuroprotectant, and they're using it for dementia. Even CBD products can be used for dementia. So it actually can be a neuroprotectant. It's an antioxidant. So a lot of the free radicals and the oxidative stress that's going on in these patients with dementia, it's a good suppressant of inflammation.
Yeah.
And it actually promotes neurogenesis. So there's actually a lot of studies for Alzheimer's dementia, not just, we're talking about the brain. You can talk about a lot of things, mood, depression, behavior. But for dementia, there's some good literature out there.
Yeah,
that's a whole other show. Hopefully, Dr. Wien could join us again because there is they didn't discover the CB1 or CB2 receptors until 1993.
Right.
So that changes the whole game, really.
Yeah. All right. Another email here. When does weed leave your pee?
Oof. Depending on how much you smoke. I could tell you that right now.
There are multiple factors.
Multiple factors that take into place.
Yeah,
if you're an everyday smoker,
blood sugar or something.
Right. Well, so it depends if you're doing a urine test, blood test, or hair sample, right?
Yeah.
And it also depends how often you're using it, and for how long. So there's many variables there.
Typically, it's 30 days but you literally have to be clean for 30 days if you're an everyday smoker, and you need to take it for a job or, God forbid, you get in trouble. Definitely just stop completely because it will show up even after a week, 10 days, 15 days, no matter what you do. That whole myth of drinking a lot of water and everything else, throw that out the window because if you're a daily smoker, typically since the day you stop, it could be in your system for 3 to 5 weeks.
Oh, my goodness.
What's going on?
Well,
you all right?
Well, I thought I set up the end of the show. Apparently, I didn't.
Well, we were so glad to
actually, you know what? We're going to need it to go for probably another hour either which way if we were able to.
Yeah.
But I know we got our boards are lit up in reference to calls. Guys, we can't take any calls right now.
I fixed the phone at the wrong time.
We apologize, but we will be here next week.
Yeah.
Same time, 10 to noon with Leon. So
there it
you
is.
fixed the phone. Go ahead, Leon. Close out the show, buddy.
Oh, my goodness. You have tuned to Cannabis Life Radio, brought to you by Green Roads World.
Peace.
See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.